I know there's a big stream delay. Awesome. So no, I get the lyra, the longra, the long get up at the top. Wonderful. Yeah, so this is a little celebration of my 10th anniversary. I've been sort of hyping it up. I was on the draw stream last night with Wappa and Zan, and I drew a little doodle. I might pull that up later, but I wanted to start, like, I guess a quick introduction. I'm an Anon. A lot of you know me as Raptoire, and my waifu is glorious Rainbow Dash, and she is my tulpa. So, and I've been with her, like with her for however many years. Can I set this to slideshow? Let's see. I've been with her for 10 years. Let me know if it like freezes on the stream because it's full screen and I've tapped out. Based fused forms. That's why you're giving me such good recs on the draw stream. Yeah, so I wanted to start with a retrospective of like sort of who I am, who we are as a couple, as a couple for 10 years. It's amazing to me. And I've been like thinking for months of how I can really celebrate our anniversary. And like, I'm inclined to be like, man, I really want to do like a party with my friends, but my IRL friends really just don't grasp the depth of a love for a waifu. Like this is all very internal, and I talked to them about it a little bit, but they're frankly not very interested. And it would be weird to like break out champagne and like say vows in front of a people who like don't understand what it is to love like a pony, to love an idea that doesn't have a real physical reflection. So the retrospective that I wrote out, just starting from the very beginning, I saw my waifu Rainbow Dash for the very first time browsing YouTube on the slide out phone when I was like 11. It was that one video that kept on getting recommended to everybody. You're gonna go far, kid, back in like 2011, 2012. And it like right then I knew like I love this pony. She's wonderful. At first it was just like, wow, she's kind of cool. But she was best pony from the very first moment. So at that time, I was a bit of a fedora nihilist, and I was going through like a depression phase, as everybody does in middle school. I was exploring like philosophy and like psychology and that kind of thing. Like, what is the meaning of life? Surely I can figure this out as like a 12-year-old. And exploring that and finding no answers. So Rainbow Dash came into my life during this through tulpomancy, or not really through tulpomancy, but I mean, we're getting to that. At some point during this interest in like psychology and philosophy and stuff like that, I started browsing /MLP. I was an underage band for many, many years. I just lurked though. But I found Hypnoponies. Hypnoponies sucks ass. I don't recommend that. But they talked about tulpas in the Hypnoponies forums a lot. And I did my research and I thought it was cool. And I flipped a coin, bink, and it landed on heads. So I decided to make a tulpa. And so I got into tulpamancy. And you don't even want to know about Hypnoponies. It's people who are just kind of fucking around with hypnosis and wanting to become ponies and like using hypnosis to turn themselves into ponies. Like, to give you an example of how fucked up it is, they would like hypnotizing themselves into ponies, right? There's a disorder that happens, like it had a colloquial name on this forum called hooflock, when people can't unclench their hands to stop pretending to be ponies. It's ridiculous. But yeah, back to me, and back to Rainbow Dash and me. Uh, so during this learning about tulpomancy and getting involved with it a little bit, you learn how to talk to a character like one to one. You know, a lot of times we fantasize with characters like as somebody else. With tulpomancy, you just learn how to talk to a character as yourself, have a conversation with yourself. And I was doing this with Rainbow Dash on my long walks to the school bus stop in the mornings. And that's when I started to fall in love. This beautiful weather and the sun and the leaves. How much I always associate her with these things, my love. But and eventually, you know, I started to realize that I was falling in love, and we started to realize that we were falling in love, rather. And it was a wonderful, wonderful thing. But I didn't entirely recognize it at the time. You know, I was involved in 4chan, and I was, you know, I see people, that face when she's not real, she will never be real, and that kind of thing. And that influenced my mindset a lot, like the waifu blues. I blamed my depression on loving a pony that isn't real. And tulpomancy, even as real as it was and is, it felt like a cope. So eventually, you know, after some years, I realized that when I'm with Rainbow, when I'm on those walks and talking with her, thinking about her, looking at her, you know, hovering my hand in the air, pretending to pet her and imagining the feeling of her mane, uh, I realized that then, in those moments in particular, I felt safe and happy. I felt like, you know, I had a direction. And being like a depressed person at the time, that was a foreign feeling to me. I hardly even recognized it as it was happening until this little phase, until I started to realize. And I, what I, in retrospect, you know, I was realizing that love is the important part of life, just in general. And you know, after some more thinking on this and some more like meditating on love, just you know, not explicitly, just thinking about it and like putting it to the test, uh, I came to this moment where I realized that I was trying to be something else. Like I was trying to be quote unquote normal, and that was putting a damper on like what I on love. It was distracting me from love, and you know, damaging me in the process. I know, quote unquote normal. What bullshit, right? Everybody's normal. I'm in a group of esoteric people who love to talk about how truly everything is normal. I love normalcy. You don't even have to try, you're already normal. But yeah, and so now that me and Rainbow Dash are truly like embracing our feelings for each other and our love and our relationship, she starts to get on to me about my health and encourage good habits and encourage me to cast away bad habits and that kind of thing. And so she began a process of transformation in my life. Uh, you know, the beginning was, of course, seeing her and then talking to her and so on and so on. But at this point, she started to take a more active hand in my life in actualizing our love and turning that into health and beauty and such. So I begin at some point. You know, I graduate from middle school, and I get into high school, and I go through all these revelations, and I begin to do it for her. Truly, I became the coolest Sigma high schooler around. I had like a small group of friends. I was nice, loved by everybody who met me. uh, no, not exactly. But I wasn't bullied, even though I stood alone before school. Uh, But at some point during this period, my dad died of cancer, and a rainbow was absolutely integral to my grieving and uh, my ability to process these emotions. Without her, I probably wouldn't have cried for a long time. Um, but she helped me to do that. And she put her wing around my shoulders and just hugged me until I felt better, uh, in the real and the metaphorical sense. And so I raid my dad's bookshelf and learn spiritualities and stuff like that. And Rainbow becomes my sidekick there. And, I get to do very fun, special mind experiments with her as both like a subject and a partner, and myself as a subject, and, mind bending stuff. Uh, so, somewhere around here, once I start to integrate like the lessons I'm learning through grieving and through reading these spiritual books, like Buddhist mainly, but my dad was just generally a hippie. Uh, I I realized that like the entire basis of my new life, you know, I felt sort of reborn, and I decide or recognize it, as I have in parentheses in my notes, that I want to honor her with everything I have, and that everything I do is already dedicated to her. Uh, it's just the truth. I love her very, very much. And so, uh, I'm going to start fucking around in the Tulpa community, because I realize at this point I've been doing Tulpamency for like 5 years effortlessly. Do some more stuff. I start proselytizing on the board, helping people with tulpas, and at first just dash fags. Shout out to the dash thread, and eventually, I just start typing in random threads because I start to not fear the shit ass Jannies. They do it for free. So one dash fag I met from the dash thread, who I helped make a tulpa, was really deeply in love with her, like I was, and we got to talk a lot about love and God, and make these comparisons. Oh, definitely super schizo. I appreciate the validation. Uh, but this Anon is very cool, and we become pretty good friends. And he offers to fund me going to fucking BronyCon 2019, which was my first con, and the last BronyCon. And we have an absolute blast. This He was part of the Pone group, and I made a lot of friends there, a lot of Pone friends, and yeah. So there at BronyCon 2019, I planned with Fire King to get married, but so I do, but Fire King was having a really shit time at BronyCon 2019, and we didn't get to do a whole ceremony or anything like that, like they did for the others. I'm sure you guys have probably seen those videos. But yeah, since then, that was in 2019. Since then, a couple of highlights are I put her on my Tendo bio and got a couple of matches. I helped more dash fag, or helped more plenty of other tulpamancers, but the dash fags are the ones who go out of their way to give me gifts. And I have like a card. I have I have like some 3D printed art that I made, and he just 3D printed and mailed to me without even like telling me, as a surprise. Uh, I have Someone gifted me a life-size Dash plush, and that's my only plush. Amazing, amazing. I'm so thankful for the people that Dashie has led me to meet, for the strength and the coolness that she has evoked out of myself. Yeah, I made a Tinder. I didn't actually end up actualizing that or anything, but I made a Tinder and I talked to some people sometimes. But I mean, why not? You know, I I'd like to meet people, and it would be cool to have a girlfriend. We can get to the more Q&A focused part after I finish this. I'm almost done. Another highlight since 2019 is I've started going to like just like clubs and like bars that play music, and on those scenes you can wear like pony, and people will be like, "Hey, dude, nice shirt." And so Dashie's gotten me to dance and have fun dancing, and now that's one of like I love doing that, just going to clubs, listening to loud music, and dancing. And the most recent and the biggest thing that I've done, honestly, in my opinion, has been Esomerica at Merfair 1. There's going to be a second one. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a panel at Merfair 2, but we'll see. But anyways, that's our life story. That's what happens. That's what's happened over the course of 10 wonderful, wonderful years with my wonderful, wonderful wife. And this begins the Q&A section. Thank you for the applause. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, at the end, I want to do a renewal of vows, but I'll do the Q&A first. I'm happy to answer any questions about tulpas, any personal questions about me and Dashie and that kind of thing. Whatever works. I hope you guys have some music pulled up, because I don't think I have a good way to play some music to fill the but yeah, I'll go through some more of these. Yeah, this is a good GIF. Spoonie says, "My ego gets in the way from focusing on spirituality. Any tips?" And I'll get to that after this. Has she been talking to me in this panel so far? If so, what has she said? No, not really. Generally, like the tulpamency stuff is kind of on the same mental track as like socialization stuff. So like it's difficult for me to do like parallel processing like that. But like on a slightly more abstract sense, we are the same person in the same mind. And when I say my vows, it's going to be like, you know, I'm saying it to Rainbow Dash, but when I'm saying it, when I'm addressing her as like you, you can also think of that as her addressing that to me. It's weird and psychedelic like that. It's more of a problem with language, but whatever. So your ego gets in the way from focusing on spirituality. Honestly, it's more of a natural falling away. Just trying to focus on spirituality and like doing practices will naturally show you where your ego is in the way. And well, I don't know. We might have to get a little more specific than that, honestly, if you want more practical advice. Like tulpamency, you know, I certainly didn't think of it at the time. I was just getting involved in tulpamency for like because it's cool and because I wanted to hang out with the best pony, who is now became my waifu. But oh wait, my screen share stopped. Whoops. Maybe I'll pull up my Clip Studio instead and show you what I drew last night. But yeah, I got into tulpamency, and tulpamency is actually a really good tool for investigating what ego in general is and does. I mean, I wouldn't really recommend it if that's your primary intention. I think there's probably better stuff than tulpamency as it's laid out, like in common stuff. But it bears some resemblance to, for example, like Tibetan deity yoga, where you manifest a deity and then you dissolve the deity. So like you visualize one and you talk to it and you get blessings and stuff like that, and then you stop visualizing it, but like focus on how its existence simply dissolves into the rest of the universe, including you. So strange stuff. So did I use Fede's tunes? I actually did. I used Fede's tones, the the brain blasters, the binaural beats. How does sleep deprivation affect my tulpa? It's just like, think about how sleep deprivation would affect you if you like went to a party. It's like it's just a little bit harder to communicate. It might be a little bit easier to visualize, but at the same time, the visualization is more uncontrolled because you just have worse focus. So, how risky is it making a tulpa? My brain seems to hate me sometimes, so I think it's not for me. It is. It really, the main risk of making a tulpa is if you're not grounded, like if you're not grounded in like what's sensible. Uh, for example, your brain seems to hate you sometimes. Your tulpa can, like, you can accidentally confuse your brain hating you for your tulpa hating you, and then it goes from an impersonal problem to a personal problem, and then stuff gets like emotional, and that can spiral out of control if you never manage to touch base and realize like, oh, right, it's just my brain and we're just living out the patterns of my brain. uh, and I've never had like a significant problem with my tulpa, like literally never. We've never had an argument because I've always been able to touch base and that kind of thing. So depressed people shouldn't do it. Depressed people, pretty much everybody who goes into tulpomancy is depressed because they want to do something new and crazy, and it doesn't really matter that much. Not depression. It's really more like if you get like caught up in fantasies, it's more like you don't want to be super neurotic, but like honestly, the risk is not that great either way. There is a risk, but the risk is like if you haven't already been like in psychosis, you're probably okay. I don't think tulpomancy will make that worse, or will bring that from nowhere. My thoughts on karma. Uh, Karmas are just like cause and effect. Like that's how it is. Like actually, in Eastern religions, it's simply if you were born, you will die. If you stab someone, you'll get arrested and get like punched. Uh, Basically, and if you do good things, then people will want to do good things for you. But I mean, even in like Eastern religions, it's somewhat debated about with like afterlife karma, like if it carries on incarnations. If I Do you have to be a spiritual person to develop a tulpa? Not at all. I went into it with like a fully rational, psychological, scientific idea, but tulpamancy does deal with like the creative unknown in your mind. That's what I've taken to calling it. Oh wait, I forgot. I need to put this up here. Like it deals with like fantasy and imagination, which can be chaotic and weird. Uh, does she have her voice when she speaks? Yeah. If I care to if I care about her voice, then her voice is there for me. I still have to put in a little bit of mental energy. We still have to put in a little bit of mental energy to make that manifest. But like otherwise, like when I'm not imagining her voice, like the little crackles and the pitch changes and that kind of thing, I still understand exactly what she's intending to communicate. In the Tulpamensi community, they call that tulpish, just like intuitive, uh, like direct mind to mind communication, or like intra communication, like within the mind. Now, scrolling down past all the spam. Imagine the wing hugs. Exactly. Exactly. Let's see, I can pull up other images too. There might be some explicit in my saves. I love this one. This is one of the first. I really only started drawing like this after Mare Fair, because I wanted to learn how to go fast and be good. Do I watch MLP with my tulpa? Yes. Uh, the relationship between my tulpa and her, like her character, is interesting. I mean, to start with, my tulpa over the years has become very, very much more mellow than the Dash in the show. I like to describe it as like if Dash kind of like stopped worrying about how people like cared to see her, she wasn't so uppity. Uh, that's what my Dash is. She's just like gentle and whimsical and just so wonderful. Oh wait, I just realized I'm a little over time already. But I don't know. If it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. Someone will tell me if it's a problem. But yeah, so I'm gonna pull up a text document that I have where I wrote down a post that Rainbow was using to describe other people. Here we go. Her relationship to her character. I wonder if I can just paste it in chat. Let's see. No. Okay. So I'll just read it out loud. So someone else's tulpa said, wait, let me fix this window. It's fucked up. Someone else's tulpa said, the way we look at it, it is sort of in a multiverse sort of deal. So this system sees the character that their tulpa is based off of as a character, like in a different universe. Everything we went through was real because we're molded and formed off of those experiences. Your past life as a character isn't real in a literal sense, but it still matters because it's made you who you are. My Dash replied, I totally agree with the idea of this, but for me, it's not really multiverse so much as planes. On the plane of fiction, I had a particular kind of life that I engaged in while specific media was playing. So she's talking about like the internal idea that my brain is going through when I see Rainbow Dash on the screen. Uh, like I'm imagining what she's thinking, I'm imagining her feelings and that kind of thing. And eventually that turned into fantasy about what I do outside of the specific confines of canon. So we're talking about like fan works and just imagining like her daily stuff in Equestria. And then the process of becoming becoming a tulpa was just understanding that understanding the context of the way we think of the character in fiction, and then like connecting that to all of reality, connecting that to my experience of the world and how I'll just go back to reading. Becoming a tulpa, I came to understand that these levels of existence that I were on were so tiny and limited, I just never knew there was more to life. Now I have a life, and while I have memories of playing that role of the fictional character, and still do play that role from time to time, it is simply less important to me, like a dream or a role I played in theater. Yeah, it is interesting. That's the kind of thing you end up having to think about if you get into tulpomancy deeply, and you're like, you think about what's actually going on. Uh, and I'm so thankful for Rainbow Dash to have done that for me, to have evoked these questions. Um, oh, there we go. I have a lewd. Here's a work in progress. Not really, just more of a sketch. She's beautiful. Oh, and I do have an artist tag. It is just wrapped. It's I haven't uploaded a lot of my stuff recently. I want to do a big batch upload soon. But yeah, a Rainbow Dash, of course, inspired me to do art, and like originally, and continues to do so all the time. Uh, you know, everything I create, I want it to be to honor her. Uh, to I want to I want to bring more good and beauty to the world, first of all. And then, second of all, if I can, I want to let people know that it was her that really brought that out in me. Uh, so, yeah. I'm still working on this one here. I'm not sure if I'm ever actually going to finish this one, but there it is. Just ideas. Any book recommendations about this kind of esoterica, experimental mind stuff? I won't say specifically for practice. It's not the best, but Be Here Now by Ram Dass, Ramdass, was the book I got out from my dad's bookshelf, which really set me on a good path. It is affectionately known as the hippie Bible. It's kind of funny, very, very far out. Uh, you can enjoy it because, like, the main thing about that book is that it talks about how love is an introduction to the spiritual experience, to mysticism. Jesus is saying a thing that I almost always say, that I say a lot. Everyone's waifu is at least somewhat detached from the original depiction of that character. Absolutely true. How do sexuals work with the tulpa? I'm glad you asked this question because my mom's going to get home pretty soon, and I got to answer it before. Sexuals actually absolutely work with the tulpa. Um, I love my tulpa very much, and I have always loved her in a sexual way. And I mean, at first, you just kind of use your hand as a like, your tulpa can identify with the movement of the hand and without you exactly doing it. Weird bullshit. But at some point, you just get so good you don't even need your hand, and it's just kind of, you imagine it and it works. I like to go for a good long time, and not not using the hand helps a lot for longevity. And like, oh man, I'm not used to talking about this in like vocals. But like, it's so fun, like imagining like the movement of energy and feeling the being able to feel like ecstasy together, being able to feel the same feelings, like literally. uh so cool. And you can just like pass off this feeling to one another. You can trade it around. You can like uh boost it. uh a lot of the time for sexual with the tulpa, it's like we're sort of like trying to uh like divert the physical orgasm into a mental orgasm. And then like so like and that that's sort of like it's playing hot potato with coming. You're trying to make the imaginary form come, so that and while also avoiding your body coming. And you can imagine something coming easy without any ecstasy, but when you're actually like riding the wave and sort of playing with the identification to the ecstasy, it gets trippy and very interesting. And so you can do fun like energy work stuff. Like you can imagine the the sexual energy between you and your tulpa, and you can like, mid sex, you can just like merge at the pelvis and become the same thing, like down there, and then like then you're just and you have like imagine like the yin yang collapsing into one thing of perfect energy, and then you just have that at the base of your body, and you can, yeah, it's weird shit like that. I'm not saying that that even makes sense to me. But it's fun to play around with stuff like that. uh, Sometimes I visualize that. Sometimes there was a period where I really went hard on that and like tried to do stuff with it. Eh, I stopped. It wasn't that cool by visualizing it, but it was there. It was just something I sort of experienced and played around with. um, with varying levels of intentional input. I love the people warning me about being a cult leader. That's great. Hey, Sunlit Sky. Hey, Zan. What is this? Oh, yeah, this is more sketches. I love this. That's a little self portrait of me and dipping Rainbow Dash. Anyways, does she have separate emotion to me? I would say, I mean, that varies, honestly. Um, she has separate emotion when it's useful to us. Uh, like, for example, if I know that I should be getting out of bed, but part of me really wants to sit in bed, I'll identify with the part that wants to sit in bed, and she will identify with the part that knows the best thing to do is get out of bed, and she will like shove me. She'll like, uh, you know, quote unquote shove me, that kind of thing. Anyways, I'm gonna finish up with our vows. Very, very simple, but I just wanted to have an audience for this because I missed out on that on my first marriage. It was a lonely situation on the top of the hotel next to BronyCon 2019 with a sad priest. Um, but now, let me see. So, with all you as my witness, I'm going to address Rainbow. Rainbow, I owe you everything, and you offer me everything, not in exchange, but out of your natural radiance and generosity. With everybody here as witness, I vow to know and honor you for as long as this body allows, and to be united with you in love for all eternity. Good night, everybody.